Don't watch this if you haven't played the game. Thanks. Odin. A character that is so charismatic that you forgive all of his atrocities the first time you meet him. Even though Kratos refuses to.
No.
And I mean, rightfully so. Odin is a huge piece of shit that has just enough charisma to balance out all of his horrible deeds. At the beginning of every conversation with Odin, it always had me question myself. I'd ask myself, why are we supposed to hate this guy again?
Now a good time.
Oh,
Just want to talk. Dad to dad. Speaking of which, imagine my surprise when Atreus came knocking at my door. He's doing well, by the way.
And it really wouldn't be until the end of that sequence that I'd realize, oh shit, yeah, I kind of hate this guy.
Is it any wonder that your boy is in no rush to come back to you?
Odin is so persuasive that it makes the viewer question themselves, and that is no small feat by any measure. I remember playing Borderlands 2 for the first time and grappling with my love for Handsome Jack. He was so fun, but every time he spoke, I knew how horrible the character was. Not the character, but Handsome Jack as a person. But every single time Odin appeared after not being seen for the past couple hours or so, it was like I forgot why I was mad at him. It helps a ton that we get to see the persuasive side of Odin very much from the perspective of a victim of his persuasion. It really lets you appreciate how well written and acted out Odin is. Shout out Richard Schiff.
I think I want to go home now.
Okay, if that's what you want. I meant it when I said you're not a prisoner here. It's your choice. Go, clear your mind. I know you'll be back.
I think it's very hard to make an antagonist appear smart to the player without that antagonist having an abundance of information to give to you. With Odin, we learn how smart he is, not through a hand-wavy monologue, but through every single sentence that comes out of his mouth. From the beginning to the end of the game, Odin very, very rarely breaks his illusion of being a caring old man. And when he does, it's only around characters that aren't of the utmost importance to Odin in that given moment. Even when Odin breaks that illusion, it seems very purposeful and out of spite or frustration brought upon him through his arrogance. I can't think of a greater way to embody an antagonist in a video game. It's so ambitious that it's terrifying. I didn't know how the writers could develop a character that lived up to the immense amount of crazy stories that were told by Mimir, Freya, and all of the different denizens of the game about Odin. I didn't know how the writers could make so many of these stories make sense. So many of the stories were about characters being deceived by Odin. And of course, as the player, I think to myself, yeah, sure, whatever. This guy's just pixels. He can't fool me. But the moment Odin reveals himself as Tyr, I had what seemed to be every single instance of Odin's deception replay in my head. And I was fooled.
All the things, Odin.
Every single sentence Odin says means something. Every single one. He wanted Atreus to look for Tyr, so Odin told him not to. He kept a door open to Atreus and led Kratos to be angry to divide father and son. Every single moment with Tyr was just the right amount of weird mixed with what we knew about Tyr to feel real, but also makes sense when we find out who Tyr really is. If it wasn't for Odin's arrogance and his fear of death, he wouldn't have ever fallen or wouldn't have even been led to do such treacherous things. His refusal to give people knowledge when he didn't deem it fit, and his need to know what happens after death is what has Asgard fall by the end of the story. It was Odin's lust for knowledge that led Asgard to fall. It was Odin's lust for knowledge that had allowed everything he had worked to accomplish fall from the inside out.
You have to stop. You can choose to be better.
No, I can't. I have to know what happens next. I will never stop.